being in position to be blessed today. And I feel as though with the new year coming, we need to set ourselves up to where we understand that we have to be positioned in order to receive God's blessings. And today's quote of the day would be about attitude. What is the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity? Is our attitude towards it. Even opportunity has its difficulties, and every difficulty has its opportunity. We just ask God to help us look at the positive to, of course, be able to be in position to receive it as well. And, of course, we have in the building Dr. Littles talking about credit repair. How you doing this evening, Dr.
I'm
Littles?
doing okay. And it's credit rebuilding.
Rebuilding. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
ma'am. Speaking in regards to credit rebuilding, I actually put it on Facebook, and I have a lot of responses in regards to, of course, it's the new year, so a lot of individuals are looking to create some New Year's resolutions. I feel as though resolutions shouldn't just be at the beginning of the year, but unfortunately, you know, hey, at least we're starting somewhere.
Okay.
And we had a couple of questions that we're going to have for you this after this evening, so I'm actually excited because a lot of people are looking to actually do something about their credit.
Yes. Today we're going to be talking about repositioning, though, because this is the end of the year. So we're going to be talking about positioning yourself to be blessed. Okay? A lot of people don't understand what being blessed is as a child of God. In the book of Matthew, chapter 5, it talks about the blessings. But I want you to go over to Deuteronomy 28, 3 through 6. And it says that you will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. Your descendants will be blessed, and your soils will produce the offspring of your livestock, including the young of your herds and the newborn of your flocks. Your basket and kneading bowl will be blessed. You will be blessed when you come in and when you come out. The question today is, how are you going to get to your blessing? Well, there's one simple word, and that's obedient. We must learn to obey the word so we can avoid all of these man-made traps that have existed over hundreds of years. And we're going to be talking about renting and how that's a trap, and how we're not owning, and how we should be positioning ourselves to possess the lands. Brothers and sisters, renting is only going to leave us into bondage, and we want to become owners of the land. In fact, we're going to let you talk about repositioning.
Okay. I just want to just keep it as simple as possible. You know, we're here at the radio station, and if I said to you, Regina, come get in the car and go with me, and I take you to Poinciana, and you have no idea where you at. You don't know which direction to go in to get back to the radio station. You know, you have to know where you're at so you can get started. Say, well, I need to go this direction, I need to go that direction to get back to the radio station. So it's that way. I hear people say, well, I want to buy next year. And they have not looked at the credit, they haven't sat down with anyone, and then next year come and they have someone look at their credit and they're not ready. They thought they were ready, but they were not ready. So when I talk about positioning yourself, I'm talking about looking and seeing where you're at. If you look and see where you're at, then you know where you're going. So you need to have someone to look at your credit and tell you what you need to do to get to where you want to get to. So we need to position ourselves to be blessed. And there's so much out here for people that they don't know about. And I listen to people give excuses about not buying homes. Well, I don't have down payment. Okay, you can get 100% financing where whatever you qualify for, they're going to bring it to the table. If you qualify for $100,000, they're going to bring $100,000. They say they don't have closing costs. Well, the lender paying all the closing costs. Okay, you talk about, well, credit score. Well, what if you don't have to have a credit score? Or what if your credit score is almost there, but you need to know a few things? So you need to know where you're at before you can know where you're going.
So where would you suggest they actually go? The first step, you were saying, knowing where you are in positioning yourself. So if I now said, you know what, I'm listening to the station right now, and I'm looking into purchasing a home. what should my first step be?
Call 407-285-4395 and talk to me. Let me know you ready, and we will sit down and we will talk. I will take you to a place where you can get your credit for free, and we can look at it and see exactly what the lender is looking for. Because you don't know what the lender wants. You're saying, well, let me go pay this off. Let me go pay that off. You might not have to pay it off. You know, it might be some things on your credit that shouldn't be there. And you can, there's some laws that governs that. And that's what Regina would talk to you about. And I would refer you to her. So you got to start with people that have your best interests at heart. Now, the children of Israel didn't make it into the promised land. Their babies made it in, but they didn't make it in because they didn't want to follow the leadership that God set up. He put Moses there to lead them in, but they murmured, complained, didn't want to do what he told them to do as he was directed by God. They wanted to go back to renting. They wanted to go back to the taskmaster, to building someone else's home. They want to go back to that instead of going into their own land. So God is really preparing me and Regina to help you to possess the land in 2012.
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that. We get denied for certain loans. But what people don't know, like Ms. Patricia was saying, all the lenders are different. So just because you run into a roadblock, this lender over here may require you to have a 620. This one may require you to have a 580. So you have to position yourself to be able to get approved for the type of loan that you want. But I want us to be reminded about the right to the tree of life, which is going to lead us into what Barbara's going to be talking about, the 8 chances that we've had.
Hello, everybody. First and foremost, I would like to thank the radio show for letting me be a guest here, and I thank my daughter Regina for asking me to come. And the 8 chances. Well, first and foremost, it's the 8 covenants that God has given us, and each time we've broken them all. He gave us the Edomite covenant, which is what Eve did in the Garden of Eden. He gave us the Adamite covenant, which is what Adam broke the law listening to Eve. He gave us the Noahic covenant, which Noah in the flood, and he gave us the Mosaic covenant, which is the Mosaic covenant. And again, we disobeyed. And he let us wander round and round for 40 years until we died out. But he also gave Abraham a covenant that we would be as the stars in the sky. And all God asked for us to do was to be fruitful and multiply and keep the land clean. And that was hard. God gave us 316 commandments. He broke them all the way down to 10. So he knew we couldn't keep the 316. Broke it to 10, and we can't keep the 10. So with all of that, we're still struggling. And God's gift is free. Everything he gave us is free. And that free will. And we still struggling with free will. And I'm just going to talk about the Palestine covenant because it deals with the land. And the Palestine covenant amplifies the land aspect, which was detailed in the Abraham covenant. In that covenant, God, because of the people's disobedience, will cause them to be scattered around the world. And that's what we've been doing all our life, been scattered, scattered, scattered. And we're a blessed seed and we're promised people. But we take everything for granted. You know, we throw things away. But God, he's a loving, he's a giving, he's a caring, he's a just God. And he got faith and mercy, and he got his grace and mercy there too to help us along the way. And we still stumble. Y'all have a good day.
And that being said, thank God for Jesus. This is the time of season when, you know, every day should be a day that we celebrate Jesus. But especially this time this is his celebration, his birthday. And Jesus was a sacrificial lamb for us. And we thank God for Jesus
Amen.
making a way for us when God saw that we could not keep the commandments and the covenants. He made a way for us through his son Jesus. So we just thank God for that.
Amen.
Dr. Littles, I'd like to ask a question in regards to something that you stated. You said renting would be a trap. Why do you say that?
Well, when you rent, and we talked about this on another radio show, if you're renting for $700,
In Alabama, if you're disabled, you don't have to pay that yearly tax. That's the yearly expense. So when you're doing something, check all the roadblocks. Don't just look and saying you're going to get a home, and then your taxes are going to be $2,000 a year, and then you got mortgage and stuff like that. So think real hard and long about where you're going to be at, and can you check into how the tax bracket is in that area, because you go and get it, and you might get it in a rich neighborhood, and you can't afford them taxes, and you're going to lose your home still.
That's right. That's why it's called being in position to be blessed, and making sure we don't just think about the right now, but making sure, like you said, have your realtor, make sure someone's explaining to you what you have to pay in years to come as well. Because a lot of times, Dr. Littles, we just see that house, we see that picket fence, we see that Roman tub, and this separate shower, his and her sink, and that's all we see.
You trapped.
So we have to make sure that we are wise listeners, and make sure also, if you all feel so you need to step outside the car, you can all, of course, just log online at WOKBradio.com. Of course, you can also, your Urban Empowerment Inspirational Station at 407-894-1680.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to, when you buy your house, a lot of people don't think they're so happy to just get that house when they get it. But I want people to start planning. Planning is everything. Before you buy a house, you want to plan at least 6 months to a year. Then after you have your house, now you see what you've really got to work with. I want people to focus on becoming owners. Because the house is not yours until you own it.
That's true.
Planning to be debt-free, repositioning yourself to where that house is yours and you own it, and you have the paperwork to prove it.
That's right. That's right. My aunt is 85 years old, and she said, honey, it's mine.
Amen.
She paid it off some years ago. That's the position I want to, especially young people. We don't think about the later on. We only think about the right now. But later on, when you get a little older, and you can't necessarily work like you used to.
All right now.
You don't have those checks coming in every 2 weeks. You have to think about the long term. What were you saying?
And also, you got to look at something else too. When you start dealing with the companies, if you can't double up or triple up on your payments, then that's a catch there too.
That's right. That's right. My mom always says, if you can, try to put a little extra, because you never know what you need to fall back on.
Yes.
You have to be wise.
And I want to remind that, especially the young people right now, I have a lot of young people coming to me, and I thank God for those young people having the wisdom that even have the eager and desire to want to own right now, because I'm going to be positioning them to own their house in 10 years or less. Can you imagine if you buy a house at 25 and in 35 you own your house, you don't have a mortgage?
It's awesome.
Can you imagine how much planning you can do to retire early?
Yes.
How much money you can save?
That's right.
And it's possible. Even that example you gave about the $700. $700 times 12 is $8,400. Times 5 is $42,000. And times 10, you talking about $84,000. That's a home right there. In 10 years, you've already brought a home. Already paying rent. So it is possible. You've had that much money in your hands and didn't even realize it.
That's true. But a lot of times we don't think about that. We just think about, oh, I can afford the $700 a month. A lot of people pay $1,000 a month. Add that up for a whole year. You don't realize what property or even a commercial property that you could have owned for your own business as well. So that does make sense. I would like to say, Dr. Littles, Miss Pat, Miss Barbara, and Miss Kamisha, it has indeed been a pleasure. And I always learn so much from you all, because especially on Facebook, they always email us back and they say, you know what, they're good. I said, yes, but you need to call them. So we did the number one more time. If you all were looking to